So basically, Lupin started as a manga series and it was written and illustrated by Kazuhiko Kato, also known as Monkey Punch. The main character is Lupin the Third, and he was actually inspired by another fictional character called Arsène Lupin, and he's said to outsmart detectives such as Sherlock Holmes. This fictional character, Arsène Lupin, was created by the French novelist and writer called Maurice Leblanc, and he lived from 1864 to 1941. And Lupin the Third, even though these two artists are not related in any way, Kazuhiko Kato and Maurice Leblanc, they're not related in any way, they don't know each other. Regardless of that, Lupin III, who was created by Kazuhiko Kato, is meant to be the grandson of this fictional character called Arsène Lupin, who was created by Maurice Leblanc. So it looks like Kazuhiko Kato, and the creator of Lupin III, he was either not aware of copyright concerns and copyright issues, or he wasn't too concerned about it. So that's what it appears like, because he's basing his character on this other character who has the same name called Arsène Lupin by Maurice Leblanc. So, and he's actually relating this character to that character as well, calling him the grandson. Lupin III, the grandson of Arsène Lupin. And Lupin III is called the so-called gentleman thief because he informs his victim prior to the theft by sending them a calling card, letting them know that he's going to be stealing from them. So because of that, he is called the gentleman thief. And Streamline translated the script, and that script contains deviations from the original Japanese script. And actually there were issues like that even in the English translation of Fist of the North Star 1986 film, which Streamline also did the translation for that. So there were similar issues in that film as well, in the translation. So in this translation, so Koichi Zenigata, who is the inspector, he is incorrectly called Keibu Zenigata. Rather than Koichi Zenigata, he's called Keibu Zenigata. This looks like a translation error because the word Keibu in Japanese is a title for police inspector. So they have translated the title for inspector as the name Keibu. So rather than calling him Koichi Zenigata, which is his name, they're calling him Keibu Zenigata. And Fred Patton from Streamline participated in the English translation, and he had a role in the naming of the film, of the title after it got translated to English. The Japanese title of the film is Rupan Sensei Cagliostro no Shiro. When you literally translate this to English, it becomes Lupin the Third Cagliostro of Castle. And the available choices in English were Cagliostro Castle, Cagliostro's Castle, or the Castle of Cagliostro. The final choice was the Castle of Cagliostro as a translation because it sounded more sinister. And there were copyright concerns in relation to Maurice Leblanc's estate, and because of this, Lupin III was referred to as the Wolf in the English translation. And because this manga was very popular, they made 2 television series, and it was made by TMS. The first of these series aired on the 24th of October 1971, and it was titled Lupin III. And the second of the series aired on the 3rd of October 1977, and it was titled Lupin III Part 2. And they also made a film based on this, apart from those television series, and that film was called The Mystery of Mamo, M-A-M-O, and it was released on the 16th of December 1978. And because that film was a success, then they released a subsequent film, which is the Castle of Cagliostro 1979, which is what this review is about. So that was released 1 year after that, after the Mystery of Mamo, and that was on the 15th of December 1979 that the Castle of Cagliostro was released. And this was the feature-length directorial debut for Miyazaki, and Miyazaki and one of his colleagues, Isao Takahata, had co-directed episodes of the first television series based on this manga. So, and later on, Miyazaki with this colleague Isao Takahata, who he had co-directed the first episode of the television series of this manga. So Isao Takahata and Miyazaki, along with another colleague called Toshio Suzuki, they later on formed Studio Ghibli in 1985. So Miyazaki also directed 2 episodes in the second television series of this manga, and that was a year after making the Castle of Cagliostro. And he used the pseudonym. He went under the pseudonym of Telecom when he did that work. The main character in this film is Lupin the Third, who is a master thief, and he's aided by his sidekicks Daisuke Jigen, who is a marksman and also his best friend, and Goemon Ishikawa, who is a Japanese samurai. He actually wears samurai clothes and he also carries a samurai sword. And there is also Fujiko Mine, who is a female thief, and she's like the Lupin's love interest. And another interesting character is Chief Inspector Koichi Zenigata, who is a police inspector who's trying to catch Lupin the Third. So Lupin the Third appears in the Castle of Cagliostro 1979, which is directed by Miyazaki, and also the 2 television episodes which were directed by Miyazaki. So Lupin the Third appears in all those 3 works, the Castle of Cagliostro, as well as the two film series. So he directed those. But in other works that Lupin the Third appears in, which were not directed by Miyazaki, Lupin the Third is shown as a lecherous thief, and he's at times in those works he's shown to be supported at times by his former enemies, Jigen and Goemon. So in those ones they're shown as his former enemies, whereas in this one, the one that Miyazaki has done, they're shown as his friends. And this is like really like a stark contrast, how Lupin is depicted in non-Miyazaki works. It's quite a stark contrast. And what Miyazaki has done has been described as Lupin growing up. And basically, Miyazaki has changed the characters of the film to align with his vision of how a hero should be. And the result of that is that Lupin becoming a happy-go-lucky and upbeat thief, and he also drives a Fiat 500 rather than the original Lupin, who is shown as a scheming, lecherous Lupin. He's shown as driving expensive cars such as the Mercedes-Benz SSK. So it's quite different from the original character. That the Miyazaki's portrayal of Lupin and his other characters are quite contrast to the original characters. And so these changes can be seen in Jigen and Goemon as well, his sidekicks, and they have changed from being serious and cold to being friendly and humorous. Also, erotic elements around Fujiko are not there with the Miyazaki's rendition, and the fans actually had a negative reaction to these changes that Miyazaki has done, because they're used to the original rendition of Lupin and his associated characters, other characters. So referring to this film, the Lupin fans have said this is not really a Lupin title because of the changes that Miyazaki has done, and he has shown that Lupin is like a bumbling hero rather than like a ruthless criminal that the original character represented. Kazuhiko Kato has commented on this, and he has said that in this film Castle of Cagliostro was an excellent work, but he has said that Miyazaki's vision of Lupin was different from his own vision. So this was Miyazaki's directorial debut, this film, but he also played other roles. He worked as a writer, designer, and also the storyboard as a storyboard artist for this film. And the production work on this film began in May of 1979, and it began with the writing of the story and the creation of the storyboard. So that's how the film started, the production started. And Miyazaki has drawn a bird's eye view of the story setting before completing the story, and only when the draft story was returned to him without any changes did he start working on the storyboards. So when there were no more changes on the draft story, he started working on the storyboards, and the storyboards were divided into 4 parts. And the third part of the story had to be changed to avoid exceeding the film running time. So that change had to be made. And the animation production started when Miyazaki had done quarter of the storyboards, and Miyazaki had to finish the storyboards while the animation work was in progress. The production of the film ended in November 1979, and it was released in December of that same year. So after the film was released, after 7.5 months after the work commenced, and the production had lasted for 5 months. The musical score for the film was done by the same artist who did the work on the television series of the same manga, or the Lupin the Third manga. So he had worked on the television series as well, and he did the musical score for the film as well. And his name is Yuji Ono. And the musical score varies between jazz, romance, and orchestral music. And there is also a variation of the television series musical theme in the soundtrack. The band that worked on the second television series, the band called You and the Explosion Band, they worked on the second television series. They also performed music for this film. These anime television series were mentioned in this video: Lupin the Third Part 1, 1971, Heidi, Girl of the Alps, 1974, and Lupin the Third Part 2, 1977. These anime films were mentioned in this video: The Mystery of Mamo, 1978, Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, 1984, Fist of the North Star, 1986, Laputa Castle in the Sky, 1986, Kiki's Delivery Service, 1989, Spirited Away, 2001, The Cat Returns, 2002, Howl's Moving Castle, 2004, Ponyo, 2008, Arrietty, 2010, When Marnie Was There, 2014, and Mary and the Witch's Flower, 2017. These novels were mentioned in this video: Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Cambrioleur, 1907,